we'll finish it. We won't be worried about it no more. Amen.
Praise God.
Oh, where do I go when there's nobody else to turn to? Who do I talk to when there's nobody else to listen? Who do I lean on when there's no foundation stable? I go to the rock. I know He's able. I go to the rock. I go to the rock of my salvation. Don't let me reject me. Run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. When the earth all around me is sinking sand, my solid rock I stand. When I need a shelter, when I need a friend, I go to the rock. Where can I hide till the storms have all passed over? Who can I run to when the winds of life are threatening? Is there no refuge in my time of tribulation? When my soul needs consolation, I go to the rock of my salvation. Don't let the builders reject it. I run to the mountain, and the mountain stands by me. When the earth all around me is sinking sand, on that solid rock I stand. When I need a shelter, when I need friends, I go to the rock. Praise God. My sister probably having that cough. I just can't get rid of it. And you get out in public, and you start coughing, and everybody looks at you like you're some kind of monster or something. But it's just allergies and asthma. And but appreciate the Lord tonight and all that He's done for us. And turn your Bibles to the book of Matthew, chapter 7. It's very familiar scripture. Most of us learn it very early in Sunday school. But start reading verse 24. It says, "Therefore whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man who built his house upon a rock. The rain descended, and the flood came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded on a rock. And every one that heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto the foolish man, which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it." Thank you for standing for the reading. I feel like the Lord laid this on my heart this morning. And a lot of times I like to have something on my mind for the weekend earlier on in the week, but I felt like I did really have. And then this morning I felt like the Lord laid this on my heart. But I began to think about that building. And the Bible gives us an instance of two men building their house. One wise and building it upon the rock, the other upon the sand. And how it fell. The Bible says great was the fall of it. And I began to think about that building. And when you're building a building or a house, the most important part of that building, once you start, is never seen again. And a lot of times we look in a house and we see the fancy fixtures and I thought the granite and all those things are nice in the kitchens now, and that's the big thing. I don't guess our kitchen ever had all that. But that's the thing people like, and you walk in and you see all of those nice things, but that's not what makes that house stand.
Right.
It's that foundation.
You're talking good.
I thought the house, I live in a double wide mobile home, and I remember whenever they came in and they dug down, and they came and they dug those footers, and they put the steel in it and the concrete, and when we built this building, we came out and we dug the footers and we put the steel all in it, and before we could ever pour the concrete, the building inspector had to come and look at that steel and all the things that we had done to make sure they would hold the weight of the building.
That's right.
Because it was critical that foundation be right.
Right.
And I thought, I read a thing today that the people that study earthquakes, seismologists or whatever you call them, said that the earthquakes don't kill people, but buildings do. And it's not the enormous shake wave that comes that caused most of the injuries and the fatalities. It's how the structures in which we live, work, and congregate react to those shock waves that literally spell the difference between life and death.
Come on now.
So it's the structure of what it's built upon makes the difference. I thought I've never been to California. Don't have no desire to go to California. But I thought over there they have a lot of earthquakes. And their building codes are different than ours are. Because they have to build that building to withstand those shock waves as they come upon. And I thought, I've never really experienced an earthquake, but I have felt some trembles in the earth. And sometimes when they make those, whatever they're exploding on that ordnance, the house shakes so bad you think we might be having an earthquake. But I thought, but I've never experienced those things. The main thing that we've got to make sure is whether or not we are built upon a foundation. And whether we realize it or not, we've got to be firmly established. Or we will be like some of those buildings. And we could be the one that kills someone.
Oh, God.
And you realize, and I was thinking about that today, my salvation is not founded upon no one particular person, Brother Ronnie. I thought my salvation is not established on Brother Ronnie's, or Brother Harold, or Brother Bill, or Brother Danny back there, anybody's. But the thing is, a lot of times people can get such confidence in people, and if that person falls, it can damage that other person.
That's right.
And we shouldn't do that, but we can allow ourselves, we can allow that to happen to us. And I thought, because people can fall. People can make mistakes. We're prone to making mistakes. I look back upon my Christian experience, and Brother Ronnie, I have failed God tremendously at times.
Yes.
I have allowed myself to be overtaken, maybe by just some frivolous cares of life, or just a depression, or maybe not, or discouragement, I guess you would say, overtake me and cause me to fail God. But I thought, but even then, I still want to be founded upon the gospel. I want to be rooted and grounded in the Word.
Right.
I thought, when we was younger and we went to school, we went to Christian school, and the building just below Pea Ridge Road there on 52. I think it's called Hope on the Hill now or something like that. And that's where we went to school at, Grace Bible School. And I remember, we'd go upstairs, and the school was downstairs, and we'd walk down those steps, and there was cracks in that block and that brick on that building that you could literally stick your hand back into. And down in the basement, they had took plaster and filled in the cracks in the blocks, and because that building had shifted so much. And but a few years ago, a fellow went in there and he bought that building, and he went in there, and a lot of you that travel that road probably remember it. He had a backhoe under there, and he dug it out. It was just a half basement at that time, and he dug all of that out, put a complete new foundation under it, and put a new basement under it, and took all the brick off, and
and stuccoed it or whatever he done to it, and it looked good. But if you drive by there today, you see cracks in that building again, because it's built upon a slate shell, and there's nothing there to get a good foundation on it, and that building will never be there to where it won't shift, and the foundation will never be firm on that building. And I began to think about that, and I thought the reality is that no one is immune, if you would, to spiritual earthquakes. None of us are immune to having our foundation shaken.
That's right.
But the thing is, we've got to be established enough that we don't crumble whenever the cares of life, Brother Tom, come against us. We've got to be established enough that we've got our lives built and our Christian experience built in a way that we don't fall. I thought, I've seen pictures of earthquakes and different things of how they come through, and I guess the most close I've ever been to any devastation is maybe when a tornado came through. And to go through and you see how the winds came in and just wiped out a whole area of homes or trees and barns and just whatever was in its path, and it just levels it out, and you see all that devastation. And although that's sometimes how life just simply comes at us. It comes at us with such force that sometimes we don't think we can stand. But I thought if we're built upon the Word of God and we're trusting in God, I thought we are able to stand.
Right.
I thought John 16:33 says, "These things have I spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." I thought there's a lot of things that we face and a lot of things that we go through, but I thought if we can keep our hope and our trust in God, I thought the Bible has already said that He overcame the world, and I thought through Him we can be overcomers too.
That's right.
I thought it's been made mention in others with this we're going through, and I guess you just get tired of. Sometimes you get tired of hearing it.
Yeah.
You turn on the radio and you hear this. They got that saying, "We're all in this together." We've all heard it, and sometimes you just get tired of hearing it, Brother Ronnie. We're all in this together, and I thought, but the problem is the world is looking at all of these different outcomes, and I thought we need to be trusting in God.
Right.
And I thought, like Brother Sparks said, we're not exempt from it. It could fall upon any of us. I talked to my boss, I believe it was Friday, and we use a temporary service there at work, and we during all this we had several new ones come in, and some of them they came and they realized they didn't want to work, and so they decided to go take a COVID test, and hoping they'd get a test positive, I guess, so they wouldn't have to work. I don't know what their deal was, and I told them the other day, I said, somebody's going to go and they're going to have the test done. They're going to test positive. We've got to figure out what we're going to do. We've got to have a game plan laid out of which direction what we're going to do once somebody tests positive, and because it's a serious thing that we're dealing with. And a lot of times we look and we see and somebody maybe that we're dependent on, somebody that we're looking up to, like I said earlier, and we've got confidence and we've got great that we're looking up to them, and they could fall. I thought we've got to have a game plan whether we're going to make it or not, because we can't be established on someone else.
That's
Right.
I look back and whenever I was a kid, and we went to church, and one family in particular, I spent a lot of time. They had a son just a little bit older than me, and I spent a lot of time at their house. And Mom kept a lot of foster kids, and one time she had one that was sick. He was in the hospital for several days, and I just about moved in with them and stayed with them the whole time. And I thought a lot of them. And the man's done went on to meet his reward. But I remember I was just maybe 12, 13-year-old, somewhere in that neighborhood, and this man had gotten out of church. And I wasn't going there as much as I used to, because they weren't going to church with us no more. but I was still friends with his son, and I was at his house one day, and they were fixing to move, and they was moving to another state, and his son-in-law was there helping him get all his stuff, and I went to spend some time with my friend, and I never will forget, I came out of the house, and I looked up, and there that man stood, and he had a beer in his hand. Me, just a child. And I remember the pain that I felt.
Yeah.
My heart was broken when I looked and I seen that, and it just devastated me. And we went on home, and like I said, they moved to another state, and we got separated. I ran into him a time or two since then, my friend, but I think there was the same. But I thought, but I looked at that, and I thought, what devastation that brought upon me as a child. And I thought, even as adults, we can face things like that can shake us, unsettle us. But I thought, are we going to allow it to crush us?
Right.
Are we going to allow it to bring us down to where we would forget about God? I thought we've got to be established. I thought we can stand firm in this unstable time that we're living in. I thought if we're going to be established, we must allow God to control us. We've got to allow Him to take care of every situation about us. I thought we can read in the book of Genesis chapter 49 and verse 4. We can read of Reuben. And as Jacob comes by and he's giving his sons their blessings and he's dying, and he comes to his son Reuben and he tells him that he's as unstable as water. And I began to think about that, and I looked that up today, and what he was telling me that was there was no control of him. Have you ever tried to control water? My father-in-law lives there by the creek, and I remember when I was a kid, we lived over around Crooked Creek, and the water would get up, and we'd see the backwater, but the backwater would come up, and it was still water. Well, Danny, it didn't move. But I thought, you go down here at Drainage Creek, and they don't get a lot of backwater, they get a lot of headwater. And right there beside that creek, as that water begins to roll down through there is no controlling that water. I mean, it's totally out of control. And I thought, me and Sister Kathy have been married for 31 years, and within that 31 years, I can go down there in my father-in-law's yard, and I can see how that creek, with all the force that it comes down through there, how it has moved itself. What used to be further over on the Estill County side, and the way that bridge is built, he rode it over, and it's on the Madison County side, and it keeps cutting back, and that field over there, and my father-in-law he's got a backhoe and an old dump truck, and he'll go down and he'll try to move that rock around and try to manage that to the best of his ability to keep it from eroding over and taking his house and stuff away. And he does a pretty good job with it. But even with all he can do, he still cannot control the force of that water as it rolls down through there. Right. And I thought, I began to think about that. And I thought, to be unstable as water, what's such a rebuke that a man could get from his father as he tells him that. And I thought, it will, like I said, it will flow and you can't stop it. It will destroy anything that's in its path. And I thought, I don't want to be looked upon and be considered as being unstable as water. I thought I want to be looked upon and say he was firm, he was established. And I thought sometimes we can just allow the simple things of life. Sometimes we can allow our jobs to overtake us and the pressures of that to overwhelm us in a way that we're not as steadfast as we need to be. But I thought I want to be stern and steadfast in this with God. I thought we can build. Isaiah 26:16 says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, behold, I lay in Zion for a foundation, a stone, a tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a sure foundation. I thought we can be established upon that foundation tonight. I thought we don't have to allow the things to overtake us. If we've been shaken, and we've even, sometimes we've even crumbled under the load, I thought we can go back to that precious cornerstone and we can rebuild. We can reestablish. I thought, I remember Brother Danny and Sister Pauline first got married. They built the house out on College Hill Road. And the lot there where they live now, there used to be a house there. And it had burned. Brother Danny purchased that property. And I remember I'd go over there and I'd help him mow. I'd help him do some cleaning out. I was just a kid myself. And I thought the foundation was all there. But there was no house there. But Brother Danny decided one day he wanted a house back there. Yeah. And I don't know the extent of all he had to do. I don't know if he had to tear all the footers out or what he done. But I thought there where that house used to be, there's a house there again. Because he had a desire to rebuild it. To build it. And I thought, you know, had he not done that, he just bought it, it could still be in a vacant lot. He could still be living in the other house. But he had a desire to build on that foundation again. And I thought if we got a desire to get back to that cornerstone, I thought we could be established. I don't know why the Lord put this on my heart today, but I thought I want to be established that I can help someone else build. I thought I don't want to be like that foolish man to build my house upon the sand. You know, a few weeks ago we went to South Carolina, and you know, and we walked, you know, there on the coast, and all those nice homes down through there. And some of them are pretty nice big homes, and they're built out there, and we're right off the sand. But I thought in order for that house to stand, Brother Bill, they had to go down below that sand. They had to get on to something that would keep it there. And I thought, you know, and you look and you think, well, there's nothing here but sand. But if we dig deep enough, we can get a foundation. And I thought when it comes to serving God, we've got to dig deep. We've got to dig deep. I thought, you know, there's a lot of things, like I said, in life that we face that can just simply unsettle us. And I thought, you know, we've all faced things that we never thought we'd face. We've all went through things that we never thought we went through. But I thought, by the help and grace of God, we can stand firm. We can stand firm. I hope I've helped you tonight. You got anything?
I don't hardly ever do this. That was good preaching. Good preaching. Good preaching. Standing firm, getting built on the solid foundation. Because, right back to what we preached this morning, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform or finish or fulfill it until the day of Christ. Because God is expecting something out of us. He's expecting something out of us. He's expecting a return on this investment. And Brother Mitchell was talking about that, and I worked in a factory for 19 years, and just went in one morning and Monday morning and gave my 2 weeks notice. And I'd been through a lot there. And tried to be knocked down and everything else before we get things lined up where we get production and keep the people that was sabotaging stuff and tearing everything up and making a whole complete turnover. And we'd been through court and everything else. And with the grace of God, the Lord brought us through those things. Yes. And just a few days before my last day, the manager came out, and he really didn't want me to go, but he respected me enough not to put a lot of pressure on me. Because I just simply told him I was quitting to where I'd have more flexibility for the Lord's work. And that was the bottom line. But he walked out and he said, "Sidney, I hate to see you go. I've got a lot invested in you." And that's the way it is with God tonight. He's got the blood of His Son, Jesus Christ, invested in every one of us, right, to get us on that solid foundation that Brother Mitchell was preaching about tonight, get us established on that foundation where He can get some return out of our lives.
That's right.
I want to see the sick healed in this place.
Amen.
Yes. Oh, yes. Sure do.
I want to see the laying on of hands.
Yes.
I want to see some prophecy coming forth from people that's on the foundation,
Yes.
that you don't have any doubt about the word that's coming from them.
Sure.
I want to hear those things. I want to see those things.
Yes. Hallelujah.
But you,
Glory to God.
amen.
Hallelujah.
I believe these messages tonight, and this message tonight is coming right straight from heaven,
Yes.
right straight from us, that we'll stop being unstable, that another week goes by, another week goes by, another week goes by, and then Brother Greg said a few minutes ago, it's so easy. Come in, find us a place, sit down. What if I don't get the help I need tonight? I'll get it next week.
Yeah.
God wants to do something for each one of us every time we come to the house of God. I'm going to close with this. Somebody come get us a song. And I've referenced this many, many times. Going to church every night for 4 years. Every night. Sometimes during that 4 years, it would break out, and for about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm telling you, as the old saying is, we'd have a Pentecostal gully washer every night. Then that preacher would move on through, and it would just be sometimes get down to 10 or 12 of us, 10 or 15 of us. We'd be coming out and praying, and the Holy Ghost would still be speaking through people and saying, just continue to hold it. And we did that for 4 years. But we kept holding on.
Yes.
And even though there's not much going on at that place now, that cemetery out back of that church is full, Brother Harold.
Yes,
It is filling up.
Yes, it is.
And the majority of those people that are buried back there heard the word during that revival.